Listen carefully, because what I'm about to say might make you uncomfortable. The moment she goes cold, the moment her replies slow down, the moment her energy shifts, you think you're losing her. But what if that's the exact moment you start living in her mind rent-free? Before we go deeper, take a second, subscribe, like the video, because what you're about to hear is not surface-level dating advice. This is the psychology most people never understand until it's too late. You see, when a woman suddenly becomes distant, your instincts scream panic. You start overthinking every message, every silence, every delay. You wonder if she found someone better, if you said something wrong, if she's slipping away. But here's the truth most men completely miss. Distance is not always disinterest. In many cases, it's emotional overload. When a woman starts feeling something real, something that actually shakes her internal balance, she doesn't always move closer. Sometimes she pulls back. Not because she doesn't care, but because she cares more than she expected to. And that scares her. Think about it. When something or someone starts affecting your peace, your routine, your control, you don't always run toward it. Sometimes you pause, you create space, you try to understand what's happening inside you. Women do this deeply, internally, quietly. So while you're staring at your phone wondering why she hasn't texted back, she's replaying conversations in her head. While you think she's ignoring you, she's analyzing your words, your tone, your meaning. While you feel forgotten, you are actually being processed. But here's where most men make the fatal mistake. They react emotionally. They chase harder. They double text. They try to fix the distance. And in doing that, they destroy the very tension that made her think about them in the first place. Because mystery, space, and emotional uncertainty, these are the exact conditions where attraction grows strongest in the mind. So if she's gone quiet, if she feels colder than before, don't rush to assume you've lost her. You might have just become the one she can't stop thinking about. You need to understand something that most men are never taught. A woman doesn't obsess over what is always available. She obsesses over what she can't fully figure out. When she starts acting distant, it often means something about you has unsettled her emotional rhythm. You said something, did something, or carried yourself in a way that didn't fit neatly into her expectations. And instead of leaning in for clarity, she leans back to regain control. Because control matters to her more than you think. Not in a manipulative way, but in an emotional safety way. When feelings begin to deepen, when attraction starts turning into something heavier, her mind begins asking questions she can't immediately answer. Why him? Why now? Is this safe? Is this real? And instead of expressing all of that out loud, she goes quiet. But silence doesn't mean absence. In fact, her silence is often louder than words. It's where the real processing happens. It's where she revisits your conversations, your behavior, your presence. She starts noticing the small details, the way you made her feel in moments you probably forgot. And here's the part most men misread completely. If she truly didn't care, she wouldn't need distance. Indifference is easy. It's clean. It doesn't require space. It requires nothing. But when a woman feels something that disrupts her emotionally, she creates space not to escape you, but to understand you. And more importantly, to understand herself around you. So while you're tempted to break that silence, to send another message, to force clarity, realize this. Every moment you don't react impulsively, every moment you stay grounded, you give her more room to think about you. And thinking leads to emotional investment. But chasing? Chasing replaces curiosity with certainty. And certainty kills the very tension that keeps you alive in her mind. So when she pulls away, don't see it as rejection. See it as a psychological shift. Because the truth is, a woman rarely distances herself from a man who means nothing. Distance is effort. Silence is thought. And right now, whether you realize it or not, you're on her mind more than your fears are telling you. Now here's where it gets even more intense. Because what she does during that distance will tell you everything you need to know, if you're paying attention the right way. When a woman is truly done with you, her behavior becomes simple, predictable, almost flat. There's no emotional charge left, no subtle signals, no curiosity. She fades out cleanly. But when she's thinking about you non-stop, her distance isn't clean. It's inconsistent. One day she feels cold, unreachable, almost indifferent, and the next there's a small shift. A reply that feels warmer than expected. A reaction to something you post. A sudden moment where she reappears just enough to remind you she's still there. That inconsistency? That's not confusion, that's internal conflict. Part of her is trying to maintain distance, while another part of her keeps getting pulled back toward you. And that pull doesn't happen without emotional investment. Understand this deeply. People don't struggle internally over things that don't matter to them. They don't go back and forth, they don't check, they don't think twice. Conflict only exists where feelings exist. So when she disappears and reappears, when her energy feels like it's shifting between warm and cold, it's not random. It's her mind trying to balance logic and emotion. Logic tells her to stay in control, to not get too attached, to protect her space. But emotion? Emotion keeps bringing you back into her thoughts, late at night, in quiet moments, when there's nothing to distract her. And here's the part most men completely ruin. They react to the inconsistency instead of understanding it. They get frustrated. They call it mixed signals. They demand clarity. They try to force a stable response out of something that is still developing internally. But attraction, real attraction, is not stable in the beginning. It fluctuates. It builds in waves. So when you see her pull away, then slightly return, don't confront it. Observe it. Because every time she comes back, even in the smallest way, it's proof that you never left her mind. And if you handle that moment with calm confidence instead of emotional pressure, you don't just stay in her thoughts, you become the thought she keeps coming back to. There's something deeper happening here, something most men completely overlook because they're too focused on what they're losing instead of what they're creating. When she becomes distant, your mind immediately jumps to scarcity. You feel like time is running out, like if you don't act now, she'll disappear for good. But her mind doesn't work like that. Distance creates space, and space amplifies emotion. Think about any moment in your life where someone pulled away unexpectedly. Didn't it make you think about them more? Didn't your mind start filling in the gaps, replaying memories, imagining possibilities? That's exactly what's happening to her. Except she won't admit it, because admitting it means losing emotional control. And right now, control is what she's trying to protect. So instead, she watches. She observes you from a distance. Maybe she checks your social presence. Maybe she rereads old conversations. Maybe she pays attention to how you react or don't react to her silence. And every reaction you give her is information. If you become needy, if you chase, if you show anxiety, her attraction doesn't grow. It stabilizes and then slowly fades. Because there's no mystery left to solve. But when you remain grounded, when you don't rush to close the gap she created, you become unpredictable. And unpredictability is addictive to the human mind. Now she starts wondering, why isn't he reacting? Why does he seem unaffected? Is he thinking about me the way I'm thinking about him? And just like that, the roles begin to shift. You stop being the one waiting for her attention, and you become the one she's trying to understand. That shift is powerful, because once a woman starts trying to figure you out emotionally, she invests. Not because you forced it, but because her mind can't let go of the unanswered questions. So while you feel like you're doing nothing, you're actually allowing something much stronger to happen. You're giving her the space to come to you mentally, without pressure, without force. And the more she arrives there on her own, the harder it becomes for her to walk away from it. Now let's talk about the moment that defines everything. The moment where most men lose all the psychological advantage they didn't even realize they had. It's when she comes back. Not fully, not clearly, but just enough. A message out of nowhere, a reaction, a casual check-in that feels almost random. And in that moment, your emotions spike. You feel relief, excitement, validation. Finally, she's back. And without thinking, you give everything away. You respond instantly, you over-engage, You try to rebuild momentum all at once. You treat that small opening like a full return. And that's where the dynamic collapses. Because from her perspective, she didn't come back with certainty. She came back with curiosity. She came back to feel you again, to test the emotional connection, to see if what she felt before is still there. But when you overwhelm that moment with too much energy, too much availability, too much eagerness, you answer every question she had, too quickly. And when there are no questions left, there's nothing left to think about. This is why the strongest position you can hold is emotional control. When she reappears, you don't ignore her, but you don't lose yourself either. You stay balanced. You respond, but you don't chase. You engage, but you don't overinvest. Because what she's really looking for in that moment is not just connection, it's stability. She wants to feel that you're not shaken by her distance, that your world didn't pause just because she pulled back, that you're still centered, still grounded, still the same man she started thinking about in the first place. And when she feels that, her attraction deepens. Because now, it's no longer just about emotion, it's about respect. She begins to see you as someone who isn't controlled by impulse, someone who doesn't fold under pressure, someone who holds his frame even when things feel uncertain. And that combination, emotional intrigue and stability, is what keeps her coming back mentally, again and again, even when she's not physically there. So the next time she reappears, don't treat it like the end of distance. Treat it like the beginning of her coming closer, on her own terms, in her own mind. At this point, you need to see the full picture clearly, because everything you've been experiencing, the confusion, the silence, the inconsistency, it's not random. It follows a pattern rooted in human psychology, especially when emotions begin to deepen beyond surface-level attraction. When a woman acts distant, it's not always a signal to pursue harder. It's often a signal that something has been activated internally. And when something is activated, it doesn't disappear just because you feel uncomfortable. It continues to process, even in your absence. That's why silence can be misleading if you interpret it emotionally instead of psychologically. Because what feels like distance to you can actually be internal closeness for her. She may not be expressing it openly, she may not be giving you constant reassurance, but mentally, she is still engaged. She is still evaluating what you represent in her life. She is still comparing her expectations with her actual feelings. She is still deciding how much of herself she's willing to invest. And that decision is not made in one moment. It's made over time, through observation, through emotional consistency, through how you respond when things are unclear. This is where your behavior matters more than your words. If you remain calm during distance, if you avoid reacting out of fear, if you maintain your direction, your purpose, your composure, you communicate something far more powerful than any message could ever say. You communicate emotional stability. And emotional stability is rare. It stands out. It creates a sense of safety without needing to demand attention. Over time, that safety becomes attractive in a deeper way than excitement alone. Because excitement fades quickly, but stability builds trust. And trust is what allows someone to open up again after pulling back. So instead of seeing her distance as a problem to fix, see it as a phase to understand. Not every moment requires action. Sometimes the most powerful move is restraint. Because in that restraint, you allow her thoughts to develop naturally, without interference, without pressure, without breaking the emotional tension that keeps you present in her mind. And if she truly felt nothing, you wouldn't need to analyze distance at all. The fact that you're noticing the shift, the fact that her behavior changed, the fact that it's affecting your awareness, that alone tells you something important. You mattered enough to disrupt her pattern. And once a man becomes part of a woman's internal world like that, even in silence, he doesn't disappear. He lingers, in thoughts, in questions, in moments she doesn't talk about, but feels more than she admits.